It's 9 a.m., so you know what time it is. It is time for Issues at Hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Bruno. Edgard, thank you for joining us in this morning's discussion. Yes, and welcome back from GAFCON. It was an exciting week next week, but last week that is, but you know that we move from glory to glory, and we are going to have many amazing discussions this week on Issues at Hand. That is proudly brought to you by Protea Hotel in Tebe. Please, the number will be on your screen. Make sure you get the number, call, make a booking and reservation, and enjoy the amenities that are on offer when it comes to Protea Hotel in Tebe. Now, our discussion today, as far as Issues at Hand is concerned, we are talking about issues that are hurting taxpayers, and one of the hottest issues right now, especially in the city central, is the issue of potholes, as a lot of Ugandans are frustrated by the potholes that are on the road, especially in Kampala, places like Industrial Center, places like Salama Road, where it is becoming very costly indeed to operate your vehicle on these roads. And one of the taxpayers that are having an issue with that, we have a KACITA, which is a traders association, but we also have the United Attire Traders Association, and they have come out in one voice to say, well, KCCA, if you do not work on these potholes, if you don't renovate these roads, then we are going to stop paying taxes. Why? Because we are not seeing value for money. We are paying heavy taxes, but we are not seeing any fruit coming from those taxes. But also they are saying that look, that the roads are not being worked on. A budget of 26 billion was released, although it might not be enough. Yes, like KCCA said, still we want to see the roads being worked on, because at least there is that budget for it. And also they are complaining that, well, because of potholes, we have a delay in business. Customers can't come to buy things from the traders because of the poor road network. So these are the issues that we are discussing today. But don't hear it from me. It's better to hear it from the lion's mouth himself. And today I have Mr. Joseph Mukasa, who is under United Attire Traders Association, that is also under KACITA. You are welcome to Issues at Hand.
Thank you. I'm Mukasa Joseph, a member of UATA, an association dealing in garments, importation of garments, under the umbrella of KACITA. I'm a resident of Luafu, a village of potholes. We have around over 1,000 potholes. Our road does not only need the filling of potholes, we only need a complete repair of the road. I think it should be redone. That's my suggestion. I'm exceedingly honored to be part of Family TV. Thank you.
Wonderful. And now that's Uganda Attire Traders Association, but also for those of us who might not know, what is KACITA and what exactly does KACITA do?
KACITA is our umbrella body which handles issues concerning with the traders. That's where we converge as different sectors. It's our main body, so we have different sectors which unite under the umbrella of KACITA. It's the association which handles issues dealing with the business community.
All right, that is good. So this very KACITA that has all these bodies of traders came out to say, and that's from the spokesperson, they come out to say, you know what, that's and actually the spokesperson, but also the leader of KACITA, Mr. Thaddeus Musoke, who came out to say that KCCA work on the roads or we stop paying taxes. Where does this come from, and why have we reached this point where traders are saying enough is enough, we are no longer going to pay taxes to KCCA if our roads are not made?
I've been paying taxes ever since I left school, and when I tried to compile all the taxes I've paid since then, I think it is close to 2 billion.
That's in a span of how many years?
in a span of around 25 to 28 years, because since I left school, I've not done any other work. I pay license, I pay income, that is annually. I pay import taxes, and above all, I pay, there is what we call local service tax. On top of the license we pay, we also pay local service tax, which I don't know is used. I can only explain the state of our roads as being in a dire state and appalling at the same time, because they are impassable. The other day I spent close to 300,000 because my car got broken somewhere, got a mechanical breakdown. While I was trying to fetch water down there, you see, we have got a complete breakdown on all of government institutions. It's not only KCCA that has broken down. We had a scenario last time. It is around 2 weeks. Some people came and dug a trench in front of my house, purporting to be employees of water. Indeed, I was so inquisitive. I asked them what they were doing. They told me they were going to install pipes in that trench. I called their head office and they assured me that indeed they knew of the plan that was taking place. But the water was, the pipe burst while they were digging that trench. It took over a week to repair that pipe. And as soon as they had prepared it, the following day, the pipe broke again because they didn't cover the trench. So I'm a taxpayer who is aggrieved by these taxes also. I mean, aggrieved by the potholes. Because I pay taxes, but I don't get services. So I think it is incumbent upon all the stakeholders to take action before the condition escalates.
I'm talking about stakeholders, and this particular case we are talking about KCCA. Well, on you have to always look at both sides of the story. Now, I know many of us are complaining about the potholes, and that's correct. But the executive director of KCCA came out to say that, that's Ms. Dorothy Chisaka, came out to say that they want to make these roads, but they're also hampered by funding. For instance, yes, government approved a budget of 26 billion, but it's peanuts compared to what they need when it comes to repairing the roads in Kampala, because that amount will only, according to reports, work on a stretch of 71 kilometers of the road out of over 2,000 kilometers that are in Kampala. And so what do you want KCCA to do if their hands are tied?
No, their hands are not tied. I think you have not heard a message that was delivered by the Speaker of KCCA. You know the Speaker of KCCA, that lady. She said funds are swindled. They don't lack funds. The funds are reimbursed from government, but they are diverted and stolen. You meet some, you take some point of a road that was recently constructed. I think it is a Lukuli Nanganda. I heard a kilometer was constructed at 10 point something billion shillings. And the head of state is giving out 6 billion for the repair of all potholes in the city. Those are peanuts. Sincerely, those are peanuts. Yeah, they don't lack funds. The funds are swindled. And to your information, if you are not aware, all those people you see sweeping the roads are paid by World Bank. I don't know whether you are aware. They are paid by World Bank. Government of Uganda, through parliament, allocates funds to collect garbage from the city. But we pay luggage at our places of residence and our places of work. At our places of residence, we pay from 20 to 30,000. And at our places of work, we pay between 20 and it depends on the work you do. If you are an hotelier, you may be charged close to 50,000 or 100,000. So these people are not doing their work. The money is there. The money is there. Look at a scenario where this land was purportedly being sold to KCCA at over 370 billion. I think you have heard of that scenario. That's a lot of money. And I think that is the most expensive land globally, if I may put it, for lack of a better word. There is no land that can buy such an amount. So,
but yes, you speak of corruption, and rightly so, especially with the things that are going on with the iron sheet scandal and whatnot. Corruption is a problem that has continued to submerge Uganda's development. But now, corruption, as we all know, because of its long-standing history in Uganda, is a prolonged fight. It's not something that we are going to end today. But now, what are you requiring? What would you like KCCA to do today, apart from fighting this corruption? Because you cannot tell me that they will fight corruption, rid corruption in the system in a couple of months, and therefore make all the roads. What would you like to see them do, especially since these taxes from the traders, whilst and we're going to get into that discussion of how there are a lot of taxes, and this is hampering a lot of Ugandan traders and businesses. The taxes help when it comes to the economy, to government programs that are beneficial for every Ugandan. So in light of this, especially with the traders planning to say, no, we're no longer going to pay taxes if KCCA does not do their work, what would you like them to do?
Let me avail you with this quote from Peter Obi. He said, no country can progress if its politics is more profitable than its industries. He went on further and said, in a country where those in government are richer than the entrepreneurs, they manufacture poverty. So the money is not scarce. The money is available, but it is swindled and stolen through those people in high offices. When you look at the administrative units, you find out that almost around 100 Ugandans are represented by a political person. We have councillors, we have gisos, we have resos, we have members of parliament, we have chairmen, LC1, we have a lot of a bloated administrative unit. You cannot save money with such a bloated administrative unit. Yeah.
So you're saying that in reducing, and I remember someone talking about that when it comes to the national budget, that in reducing these big numbers in terms of all the people that have to receive salaries and whatnot, these numbers that work, do government work, then we can ensure that there's enough money that can be allotted to construction of roads.
Definitely there will be a lot of money, because there is, if a politician is richer than an entrepreneur, then you are in chaos. You are in chaos. And we've been overtaxed to an extent that businesses are closing. As I was coming, I tried to look around those shops downtown. Most of them had closed, because they see no reason of coming very early and leaving without selling any item with after spending a lot of money. So they come at around 10 after taking their tea, because businesses have collapsed. And the effects of COVID are beginning to manifest right now. The post-COVID effects are manifesting right now, because recently we had not indeed faced them head on. For my case, I lost close to 25 million in that COVID season. After locking us up, we came back. It was after 4 months, I think. Our landlord made us pay 3 months. He deducted only 1. We went back. When we came back, We paid another 3, that is 6. I pay 3.5 per month. Times 6 is 21 million. By the time COVID began, that was 2019, I had just bought a ticket to China. I had just acquired a visa, which is 1.5. A ticket was $1,000, which was around 3.7. So after that COVID period, I had lost close to 25 million. The effects have not gone away. We are dealing with the COVID effects right now.
So help us understand this, because one, what exactly is the impact? Because this is serious. This is serious when someone says we are not going to pay taxes. What's the impact of potholes on business here in Kampala? Why is it that this issue of potholes has acted us so much that they're willing to withdraw from paying taxes?
Are you aware, gentlemen, that there are some impassable roads? And there are some people who keep their merchandise at home, but they cannot access their homes to offload those items because the rent in town is too high, in the city center is too high. So somebody builds a small house, like a penthouse, he puts his goods there. So right now, if you have a vehicle, a truck full of goods, you try to offload from your home. The typical example is my place of residence. I'm a resident of Ruafu village on Naluboa Road, that stretch that goes up to Kizungu. Our road is impassable. And it is me, with a few friends, who mobilize the funds and we work on it. The last time we repaired that road, we spent close to 10 million. Our feeder road that connects us to Ruafu Road, that small road that runs from court to down there to Amazon. We spent close to it was over 10 million because the drainage system was destroyed. You could stand in that trench and nobody could notice that there was somebody. Until we mobilized the funds, we bought block slates and built that trench. Up to now, had we not taken that course, we wouldn't have a road. You see, these days, we are even not driving on the left. We are only driving on what is left after the sweeping away of the other portion of the road. We drive on what is left on the road. That's the situation right now.
And that is unfortunate because, of course, that hampers trade. But a follow-up question to that would be, why then KCCA? Why don't you take this matter up with the body that's mandated to collect taxes in Uganda? That's Uganda Revenue Authority. Why, in particular, is KACITA aiming at making life difficult for KCCA alone?
You see, we allocate blame where it is due. KACITA is the major body responsible for the repair of the roads. The blame on the tax collectors. You see, whenever I look at a tax collector, I juxtapose him with a milkman who is ordered by his boss to go and milk his cows. When he brings home 3 liters, the boss complains and tells him, you go and milk that cow until I get 10. So in the long run, the calf will die because it will have no milk left to suck, and eventually the cow will also die. So these people have milked us up to a point of pulp, let me put it for lack of a better word. So the taxes we pay are not commensurate with the services we are provided.
All right, that's very interesting there. but I continue to have you, as one, I guess that's also the question, has KACITA reached out to KCCA about this issue, and in extension, has KACITA also reached out to Uganda Revenue Authority to ask them what our taxes are doing since we have potholes on our roads?
Some people in these offices, for lack of a better word, are insufferable. They are callous and insensitive because they don't sleep where we sleep. They don't know the potholes we are talking of. Some of them sleep in Myenga, some of them in Kololo. So they don't seem even to understand. Even if you try to pump sense into them, they will not understand what you are telling them. Yeah.
So, again, have you reached out to KCCA, and do you mean that they have been unresponsive?
They are aware of what is taking place. I told you the message was, which was delivered by the speaker. The Mr. Aspire Sentongo has been doing rounds of pictures of potholes around the city. The other day I heard a good advertisement from our brother Abi Mukibi from CBS talking about the same potholes. Do you mean they don't know that those potholes exist? And do they need to be reminded after making an alarm, or after closing our shops, or after refusing to pay taxes? They are aware of what is taking place, but they are only callous, insufferable. That's all I can say.
All right. Then the question now is, because there are a lot of Ugandans that are grieved by this pothole issue, isn't this just a form of evading taxes? Why evade taxes? Because if we all decided to say we're not paying taxes because of the potholes, would our country be running?
No, there is a difference between evading and refusing to pay taxes. Evading is like smuggling taxes. You bring an item, you do funny things to evade taxes, but this is refusing to pay taxes for a cause. We are refusing to pay taxes for a cause because there is no reason of charging me local service tax, of which I don't know issues, and I meet potholes on my way. We are compliant. Why should they feign ignorance over an issue that is known to everybody?
And all right, that's very interesting. But again, I don't see how this. I understand that KACITA, just like many other organs, is trying to push KCCA to do the right thing. But again, it's a bit of a slippery slope if we say, well, we won't pay taxes because the rest of us may also want to do the same. Is there any other body apart from KCCA that KACITA has tried to reach out to? Maybe a parliament or anybody to get this issue addressed?
No, what I think, these people don't seem to understand what we are talking about. Because if...
But how would they not understand if you don't tell them? So if KCCA is unresponsive, maybe then you can take it up with URA, you can take it up with Parliament to follow up with that issue. You can take it up with local leaders here in Kampala, especially those who have a heart for traders, to take up this issue rather than waiting only on KCCA.
We are law-abiding citizens, and we are open to any dialogue that is in place and any adherent methods that can be available to sort this mess. But the people we are dealing with seem to be not in touch with the reality. Look at a scenario where a head of state disburses 6 billion to fill all the potholes in the city center, when his daily expense is 2.8 billion. Do you think these people don't know what they are doing? They are only feigning ignorance. The issue at hand is known by everyone, and not until, you see, when your kid sometimes doesn't cry, you may not know that indeed is suffering. So we are trying to reach out to them, to inform them that no, enough is enough. We want to see the results of our taxes, the taxes we pay, unless when they are telling us that they just share those taxes amongst themselves, and that's all.
Is there a timeline that KACITA is given to KCCA that if you do not, if we don't see progress on the making of our roads, we shall then move forward with these protests?
This protest, I think, sometimes we do protests like industrial action. We are not always violent. Though when a rich man is stealing from you, he calls it business. And when he fight back, he calls it violence. Even when we try to close our shops, they will begin summoning some people. Those people who have headed those the demonstrations, and they try to threaten them. But as it stands, we are yet to issue an ultimatum to that effect, because we are still at early stages of negotiations and dialogue. We have reached to everyone. We have called members of parliament. They are aware of what is taking place. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting, and wait to see whether this this call to action by KACITA will be heeded by KCCA and other agencies responsible for making roads here in Kampala. Or what are some of, going to the discussion of taxes, I know it's an issue that a lot of traders are talking about, and you yourself have mentioned that there are a lot of taxes that are being heavily charged on traders, and that's hampering businesses, like you said, making businesses close, which is unfortunate. So what impact, one, what are the taxes that are heavily impacting traders, and what sort of impact is it having on traders, and also in extension to customers here in Kampala?
The problems facing the business community, especially the importers, are endless. Every other day, there are some new hurdles that are put. I don't know whether they are doing it advertently or inadvertently. But if it is done advertently, we have a long way to go. And all those shops you see down there are going to close. Just believe me. They are going to close. We are sitting on a time bomb. There is no way a government can issue a standing order to the taxman that beginning this year, we are going to the values are altered every after 90 days. That's a standing order from government. They are issued with guidelines which are ambiguous from Minister of Trade and Finance, and they order them to come and collect taxes from traders. Some of the ambiguous guidelines are these. You saw the jacket I was putting on. I put it on purposely to come and show you I'm not a very smart person, but today I put on that jacket purposely. That jacket has different descriptions in the guidelines that were given to URA. Much as we are members of WTO, WTO is an organization that handles trade. It was created to ease trade, of which we are signatories. And the method used to determine taxes or compute taxes are known.
For instance?
And they act in hierarchical order, as in hierarchy. So the method used to levy taxes, we have a transaction value method. That is if you present your receipt, it is incumbent upon the taxman to use that receipt to compute your taxes. We have transaction value of identical goods. We have transaction value of similar goods. Identical goods are not the same as similar goods. That's a coat, a jacket, and this is a jacket you are putting on. They might be similar but not identical. If that jacket was blue and yours is blue, those are identical and are of the same texture. We have the deductive method and we have the fallback method. And these methods work in hierarchical order, hierarchy, as in hierarchy. So after failing to produce your receipt to the taxman, he is mandated to use either of these methods, but they stick to one method of taxation. That is transaction value of identical goods and the computed value. That's what they stick on. They made guidelines and inserted that jacket in the guidelines with different descriptions. The ambiguous guidelines are open to multiple interpretations. One officer will interpret that as a coat. Another one will call it a blazer. Another one will call it a cotton coat or jacket. And another one will call it a formal jacket. Recently, I had a consignment which was worth 10 million. My taxes were supposed to be 30 million. I made an appeal. The appeal process itself is defective because the handlers are so proud of themselves. One of the officers replied to my agent casually after making an appeal that you can pay, those taxes are fine. That jacket costs 36.2 yuan RMB. That is around $5.5. That is an equivalent of around 19,000. That jacket. The taxes that were levied on that jacket were $15 per piece. 15.5 times 3,780 times 0.68 times the number of pieces I had. This is now, the one piece was supposed to pay 40,000, which is 15.5 times 3,780 times 0.68. It translates into 40,000 per piece. You can't sell those items. Today I have cargo I abandoned in Guangzhou. It was provided to the consolidators on the 3rd of this month. The documents are here. This is the receipt for the money I sent for the goods. The goods are worth 22 million. If I import today, these goods which I abandoned, I'll be required to pay 42 million. Because they have guidelines. They have subjective taxes. They don't care. They just tell you this is quality assured. You cannot decide a price of an item by just looking at an item without being part of it. Until when those officers, one of them goes downtown, opens up a shop, that's when he will know what the word high taxes means.
Now, we're going to continue with that conversation on taxes, but very quickly before we go for a break, what is the way forward? What is, for instance, KACITA prepared to do if KCCA remains silent on this issue of potholes?
We shall take industrial action. If not industrial action, we shall demonstrate peacefully or refuse to pay tax. We have options. Yeah. We shall choose the most appropriate one that befits us.
Well, I envisage it will be quite the battle, especially since we are mandated to pay taxes. So it's very interesting about how that will transpire. But we are hoping that KCCA can respond to the issue because we rightly want these potholes to become an issue of the past, that we can move forward. Our businesses are not hindered, our vehicles are not hindered, and also our livelihoods are not hindered by these gaping holes on the road. KACITA has made it clear, the traders have made it clear that KCCA needs to respond and work on the potholes. If not, then they are going to protest in the guise of not paying taxes, especially when it comes to the trade taxes that they are paying to KCCA and to URA. Very interesting. We wait to see how that will materialize. But there are a lot of challenges with taxation here in Uganda, and even as we speak, there's a raft of proposals on new taxes that the government would like to introduce when it comes to Ugandan life. For instance, the people who deal in Airbnb and in places of abode, especially from foreign companies, will have to pay taxes, and so that's very interesting to see whether Parliament will pass those proposals. But definitely URA is in the hunt looking for ways to increase the revenue base when it comes to the Ugandan government, and an increased revenue base means that there is more money to spend on programs that are very beneficial to Ugandans. But that's the question that KACITA is asking, because there is no, according to them, there's no value for money, especially when it comes to the issues of the roads. So the traders are asking themselves, where is this money going and for what purpose is it being used? Because we are not saying where the taxes are going. But still on the subject of taxation, Mr. Joseph Mukasa.
Yes, sir.
What is the, apart from, you already mentioned some of the impacts that this heavy climate of taxation has on Ugandan businesses, are there any other impacts that you can share with us? Because we want to know what's the situation on the ground when it comes to the plight of businesses in this environment of taxation.
Winston Churchill once said that for any nation to think that it can tax itself into prosperity is tantamount to standing in a bucket and use its handles to lift yourself. What these people don't know, that they are taxing their businesses. These are not our businesses. We are just their employees, because they earn more than you get from those businesses. Take a scenario of somebody who took a loan of 100 million at a rate of 24%. Before goods reach their final destinations from their country of origin, you might spend close to 3 months, because there is the manufacturing process, the transportation process, up to the taxes. That's a period of 3 months. in the period of 3 months, if you are paying 3.5 like me, you'll have paid 10.5 million. And by the time goods reach, you'll have incurred costs like a ticket, a visa, shipping charges, plus the interest rate on the money you borrowed, which is 2% per month. This if you took 100 million, this will be 60 million for a period of 3 months. I put the same question to one of the intelligent officers that was sent to us some time back, pinning us, forcing us to produce our invoices. I asked him to get one of their staff. We give him 100 million. He goes to China. He imports goods worth 100 million. Are you aware that if you avail URA with your invoice worth 100 million, in the garment section alone, I'm talking about the garment section, because that's my area of, that's the area I know most, you will be required to pay 69 million. So you add the 69 million, plus 6, the interest rate, plus 10.5 as in rent, the ticket, which is around 3 or 4 M. By the time your goods reach their final destination, you will have spent, this is 75, 85, you will have spent close to 90 million. What sort of business is that? Can that business stand a test of time? Recently, you heard of a gentleman who imported a car that was worth 10 million. They subjected his car to a direct tax of 15 million. It was 19. He went and sought court redress, and they ordered URA to pay him 20 million as in costs and damages. You go to URA now and ask them if they have adhered to the agreement of WTO, where we are signatories, where we are supposed to pay taxes basing on the invoice value, the ad valorem method. Ad valorem is a Latin word that is according to the value. Go right now, you are a journalist, go and ask them if they have adhered to that method that should be applied. And it is in hierarchical order. It should be applied in hierarchy. Yeah? So they choose whatever suits them best. This invoice I've given you, when you present it to URA, they tell you, you see, many of you forge receipts. Why should I force a receipt? After computing and finding out that if I presented my receipt, I'll pay lesser taxes, as opposed to the taxes you are subjecting me to. Because some of these taxes are ridiculous. I have a friend of mine who was supposed to pay 600,000. Right now, his goods are with somebody who refused to hand over, to hand them over to him. He's requesting 4 million from him, but he was supposed to pay. If it was, if he was overtaxed, he told me he was supposed to pay around 600. But because he's not part of our association, I think we have no help to him. If he was in our garments section, that issue would have been handled. That's why I urge all those who have not joined our association to come on board. So, because if you are in a group, your issue can be handled. If you are, it can be addressed quickly. But if you are alone, you find problems.
And actually, that's where I'd like us to go next. Apart from the issue of taxation, what are the other issues that are making life difficult for those in the government sector?
We have, this government is very funny. After collecting taxes from you, they have multiple bodies doing the same type of job. We have the NTC, we have the enforcement, we have the intelligence section, we have the officers who verify your goods, and we have the custom officers who sit in the DPC, Data Processing Center. Their only job is to process data. That's why it is called data processing center. The moment you import a phone, the descriptions of your phone are in the guidelines. You have imported a phone of 32 GB, it is subjected to this tax. They don't mind whether you bought it at 100,000. They will charge you 500,000. They don't care, since it is in the guidelines. And most of the issues are related to bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is so tedious to an extent that some importers fail to clear their own goods, and they decide to load their goods in part load containers. Because the bureaucracy, the time spent is too tedious. You find an importer who imported his goods is supposed to pay a transfer fee in a bank. After paying a transfer fee, the goods are verified. After the verification, you are supposed to pay a first payment. After paying the first payment, you wait for a top-up. You go 3 times in a bank. The other issue is the standing order of the 90 days. There is no way you can change taxes even after 90 days, because even the World Trade Organization, it is not catered for.
Indeed, and we hope that this issue of taxation will be sorted out. We need to continue to have these conversations and to put it in the mind of those in the responsible places like URA and the government, to ensure that the playing field is, and the environment when it comes to business here in Kampala, but in Uganda as general, is very conducive so that Ugandans can prosper and Ugandans can live and work without any hampering. Now, we have come to the end of issues at hand, but before we do, for those who might be interested in joining United Attire Traders Association or even KACITA, how can they join and who can they contact?
Yeah, we have our chairman, Mr. Asimbwa, is in the Capital Center. I'm one of the members of the executive. If you want to join IWATA, it's free entry, free exit. If you don't want to join, you don't join. If you want to join, you are welcome. In KACITA, you'll be required to pay a subscription fee of every month. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on Issues at Hand
But before
today.
we close, I just want to put to light one issue of a tax. I don't know how these taxmen are trained. And whenever I look at a taxman, I juxtapose it with a scenario of a lady who went out with his kid to a restaurant and a boy swallowed a coin. So the lady got so frightened, but there was a gentleman who was nearby. He was so concerned and approached the lady, inquired what had happened. The lady told her this boy has swallowed the coin. So the man held the balls of the boy and pressed them hard, and the boy spat the coin. After spitting the coin, the lady asked the gentleman how he did it. He told her that, you know, I'm a taxman. We are trained to suck that remaining coin out of you. That's the tax man.
And we shall end it there for now as we continue to talk about those high taxes and the lack of implementation, especially when it comes to projects like road construction here in Kampala and in Uganda at large. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us here on Issues at Hand. We continue to bring discussions that are at the forefront of our development here in this country, and we are always glad to have you on board. We shall return tomorrow, but now it's time for us to say ciao, and may you enjoy the rest of the programming on Church of Uganda Family TV this Monday.